Hey, it's Eric G. Around the House is sponsored by Baldwin Hardware. For 75 years, Baldwin Hardware has been known for its first-class quality and craftsmanship in door and cabinetry hardware. As an alumnus of the Baldwin Hardware Design Council, I can say I have seen the details and quality from design to the finished product. If you're looking for a new style and old-world craftsmanship, I can tell you there is only one Baldwin Hardware. Check out what would look great in your home at baldwinhardware.com.
It's Around the House.
Hey guys, Eric G here. We've got a jam-packed show here. 4 different interviews, 4 different segments, because this is the best of 2023. And I included something new for you here in this hour in the second segment. Yeah, we're talking to AC Slater. What? Really? Yeah, we're talking Japanese toilets with Mario Lopez. You've seen him on the Christmas tree lighting at Rockefeller Center to all the different celebrity shows out there, Access Hollywood and all those different things. So we've got a lot to show here. If you want to get a hold of us, give us a call at 833-239-4144. That's 833-239-4144. If you're not writing it down, don't worry. Just head over to aroundthehouseonline.com and you can find it there. I got the one and only Mario Lopez up. Let's do this.
When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is a lot to know, but we've got you covered. This is Around the House.
Mario Lopez has gone from Saved by the Bell to a 2-time Emmy Award winner and host of Access Hollywood and Access Daily, and even has his own radio show, On with Mario Lopez. Welcome to Around the House.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time today, man. I wanted to talk today about your 50th birthday and the party you gave for yourself in your bathroom remodel.
Well, that wasn't so much a party, although it feels like a party when I'm in there. It was more of a gift to myself, hitting the 5th level. You can't hide it anymore because people will Google you, so you can't lie about your age anymore. But I've never been one to splurge. I don't go buy expensive jewelry or cars or clothes for that matter. I don't go take these crazy lavish vacations. I'm pretty conservative with my stuff and
Nice.
Try to save for a rainy day kind of guy. But I figure, 50 is a big one.
Yeah.
And I wanted to treat myself to something. So I saw a South Park episode. True story. And
I've seen that one.
You seen that one where they get the new
Japanese toilet? Oh yeah.
The Japanese toilet. I forget whose dad was it. Was it not Kenny's dad? Who was it? One of their dads.
Yeah.
They get a Japanese toilet. And I'm like, damn, does that really exist? And it was he wanted to have parties and serve everyone Indian food and have people come blow it up at his house with this incredible toilet. And it got me so intrigued. I'm like, does that exist? So I went down a rabbit hole and started Googling it. I'm like, damn, they do exist. That's awesome. And they're expensive, but they seem like a solid investment.
Yeah.
Because you obviously spend time in there and I didn't realize it can do so many cool things. And the South Park episode wasn't too far off. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to treat myself for my 50th birthday.
Nice, man. Yeah. I was looking at the pictures and I tell you what, that Toto NeoRest NX2 is the Cadillac. That thing is amazing. I got to see it at the Big Builder show earlier in the year and that thing is stunning. It's a beautiful toilet.
It is. I would even say it's the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
The Cadillac. It's the Lamborghini. It looks like an art piece.
Yeah.
And it does everything for you. You need a degree in engineering to be able to handle it, or it would seem, but it's actually pretty easy. My friends are very impressed and jealous. And it's cool.
I was going to say, what has been the response of your guests? Because I'm sure people coming over, hitting the bathroom or whatever, they come out just like, what is that?
Well, they're scared to use it, to be honest, because it looks like it's complicated, but it's really not. And then they ask a lot of questions, and I said, yeah, it's cool, man. And it's definitely a conversation starter.
Yeah, no kidding. So did you remodel the entire bathroom, or did you just kind of keep it a little more localized?
Well, the house itself is new.
Okay.
So we didn't have to do too much remodeling. So that was just a nice splurge, if you will.
Nice. Yeah. And, you're a big health and wellness guy. Has that really changed how you look at things on your 50th birthday?
Well, I've always made health a top priority, and I always try to encourage people to make it their top priority, because if you don't have that, what good is anything else? And now that I'm in the back 9 of my life, I I think you should focus on that more than ever. And a big part of that is self-care.
Yeah. Amen, man. Amen. And so it's one of those things that, I saw that same episode and, I've been in this industry for a long time and I thought, wow, South Park did a great job of making it almost the best commercial for these, beautiful bidet toilets because they made a big deal out of it. And it even grabbed you in, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
It did. The episode was funny, but it subliminally just got me intrigued. I don't know if that's what they set out to do, but that's the true story of why I kind of got into it.
Nice. Has your family been up knocking on the door trying to get you out of the bathroom now? Because, we're guys. We tend to spend a little more time in the bathroom sometimes and go for a little solace from time to time.
Oh, yeah. I got 3 kids and 2 dogs, so I try to escape whenever I can. But yeah, the wife knows where to find me. And so do the kids for that matter.
That is great. And I heard you've got a new game show coming out here too as well, right?
I do. I'm excited about that. It's called Blank Slate. It's premiering on GSN on January 9th. And it's fun. It's a little like matching game. You have partners and teammates and there's comics that are involved and you try to do fill in the blank answers to popular questions. And if you match up with your teammate, whoever ends up with the most points wins. There's nothing better than giving people money. So it's a fun gig and I love games.
Nice. That's going to be great. When's that coming out again?
January 9th on the Game Show Network.
Perfect, man. Well, Mario, thanks for taking the time today, man. And I really appreciate it. You guys are doing some great stuff. I mean, you're got to be one of the busiest working mans in Hollywood.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel very blessed with the radio show on with Mario and iHeart and Access Daily and Access Hollywood. And the game show coming up, Blank Slate. Excited about all the other stuff we got going on with the holiday movie and stuff. So yeah, I feel very fortunate that we're as busy as we are.
Yeah, and geez, I saw you at the tree lighting. That looked beautiful. That looked stunning.
That was a good time. Yeah, New York's always fun that time of year. A little cold, but well worth it.
Exactly. Hey, brother, thanks for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
You got it. My pleasure. Nice talking to you.
You too.
All right, take care.
I do have to sit here and say that Mario Lopez is one of the kindest and nicest guys in Hollywood. And boy, what a pleasure to sit down and talk with him. And something, it's just so funny to me when you look at that episode of South Park where they were kind of, maybe making fun of bidet toilets. But something, more people have connected with that episode. It's almost been, the absolute best sales piece for a generation, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And I got to thank Toto because, Toto, if you are not familiar with them, you've got to check them out. I have used them as my toilet of choice in my remodels that I've worked with clients for the past 20 years. And that has been my go-to brand. I'm sorry, Kohler. I'm sorry, American Standard. By the way, Toto makes more toilets and has sold them for 20 years, more than American Standard, Kohler combined. But if you want to have something that is nice, if you want to have something that is going to be reliable and something that is going to work well, Toto is the way to go. And they have never paid me a cent to say that. But I tell you what, I wave their flag every single year. They make the best stuff in the marketplace out there. And I always say that if you're out there doing a rental, don't go down to the home center and buy the $200 toilet there, because something, the first time your renter flushes something down the toilet they weren't supposed to, guess what? You're calling the plumber out there at 3:00 in the morning. And something, if you spend a little bit more and get like a Toto Drake or something like that, you're going to be so much better off. So I wave the flag of Toto very, very fondly because they have not done me wrong in 20 plus years. And those guys have been wonderful to work with over the years. Now, if you're looking at a bidet toilet seat, I tell you what, those guys, whether you're looking at the Toto washlet or something even nicer, that is the only way to fly. And it's so funny because we did a segment here a number of years ago, probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago I did, where we had one of those, $99 or $100 bidet toilet seats that were off the internet. And something? It did exactly what it said it was going to do. It's $100 toilet seat. And unless you like using cold water and an uncomfortable cold seat, that's probably for you. But if you want something more refined, Toto is the way to go. All right, guys, we got 3 more interviews. Don't go changing that dial. We're just getting started. Around the House, we'll be right back.
What's up? This is Sticks Adenia.
And Satchel from Steel Panther. And you are listening to
Around the House with Eric G.
Yeah.
We love Eric G, and you should too.
Welcome to Around the House Show. This is where we talk everything about your home every single week. Thanks for joining us today. I don't know why this is the first time he's being on the show, but Matt Whitbeck. Whitbeck Construction, welcome to Around the House, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
This is great, man. I mean, you and I go way back from sharing stages to even watching you film those Lowe's commercial pieces, kind of, that were those education pieces with my buddy Ty.
Yeah. Has a good hookup. Ty's awesome. Got to come out and see you guys on the West Coast and do a little bit of touring out there. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. And then, geesh, got to see your mug on the TV all this last year with you being the official contractor for This Old House project.
Yeah, we get to do season 43 with This Old House, Saratoga Springs, which was really neat because I grew up watching This Old House, lived on the end of a dead-end road in the middle of nowhere, and we had like the funky, crazy, giant antenna. So we had like 4 stations, and one of them was PBS, and that was the jam, man. I loved it.
Dude, same. I think I would not be doing what I'm doing without that show. And I've awkwardly told Kevin and everybody else on that show the same thing because they're, one, it's just real. It's just so real. And, it's honest, which I love. What was the experience for you going through that, man? Let's dive into that because that's got to be some hoops to jump through to begin with.
Yeah. So a little bit of filming experience, doing a little of this and that. I did do a couple commercials and some, video work with a YouTube series with Lowe's called Building Science, which was really cool. So I had at least a little bit of experience with working on camera. But I didn't know what to expect because I've seen some various things between doing like a simple, small YouTube show to doing some commercials. You see various things between audio and video. I did work with one professional actor doing some commercials, which was really neat to later on turn on a television and see him on like an actual movie. And I'm like, holy cow, I know that guy. So, cool. I mean, you don't quite know what to expect when you get into something that's supposed to be reality TV because you hear all kinds of crazy stuff about what's scripted, what isn't. And one of the heads of the film group, when we were doing the Lowe's stuff, he does a whole bunch of reality TV stuff, like one of the race car shows that's on. Mm-hmm. And so he was giving me some of that stuff, telling me about what happened. So I didn't know what to expect. And when I got into it, like you said, it's real. It's actually happening. We're building the house. They're coming in. It's a lot of, the various professional members of their staff coming in to do interviews with all of our trade partners. And it was great. It was refreshing to find out that what I hoped and thought it might be was as authentic as it really was.
Yeah, it's funny. Growing up, I always thought the show was different, but now that I've, been in this industry for about 30 years now, I start to think of it different as it's not This Old House building a house. They're coming on, for instance, to Whitbeck Construction and almost reporting on the progress. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that is pretty accurate. I mean, Tom Silva owns a contracting company with his brother. Mm-hmm. So they do a lot of contracting for This Old House. So there is a bit of it where it's kind of like a lot of the members of This Old House are working on a house. So they work on projects kind of exclusively. Well, I shouldn't say exclusively, but a lot of the projects they work on are being filmed for This Old House in some capacity, if it's Ask or This Old House or, even for like small clips. But when they come on, they're kind of acting more in the reporting aspect of things. So they come on and they're sort of interviewing people. And a lot of what they do, and I love this about what they do, is they're really trying to shed a good light on the professional contractors, what their real day-to-day grind is, and the things that they're bringing to the table that are important or interesting, that most people wouldn't get that kind of behind-the-scenes view if they didn't have that show of seeing how these contractors are putting things together. So they pay a really great homage to the everyday subcontractor and builder.
That's great. And those guys just, it's interesting because, they come on the show, they know the challenges, but for me, even with my experience, your experience, there's always something I get out of that show every time I watch it going, oh, that's interesting. We don't do it that way out here or whatever it is. Yeah. And that's the fun part with that.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. And those guys, because they do all of those things, and, you and I have both worked with guys like Kevin Ireton. So, Kevin being the editor of Fine Home Building for decades, they get to interview so many people. So they have just this amazing encyclopedia just full of interesting tricks that we don't get to see when we're kind of ingrained in our own local color, So that's one of the awesome parts about them touring around the country and just really trying to pay a great light on what's happening out there and what people are going through, because we don't all do it the same way, but we're not all dealing with the same environment. We're building habitat for human beings, but it's in different environments. So.
Absolutely. And Kevin, geez, what just a wealth of knowledge. And that's one of the things looking back, and I'm not really doing the stage much anymore just because this media thing's kind of been keeping me 100%. But man, some of the stuff I learned by just watching and listening to everybody from their different perspectives, with all the different people, whether it's you, whether it's Walt, whether it's Kevin, that whole group and many more. Just such a great brain trust. And it's so fun, like you mentioned, because something that you do up there in Saratoga, New York, and something I do in Portland, Oregon, maybe we have the general idea, but so many times it's done a different way just because of climate, construction, or even materials that we're using that are different.
Yeah. Things that we're just accustomed to, is it a jack or a trimmer? Great question, right? Like what are we putting in there? Is it worm drive or direct drive? There's certain things, guys, just you move around the country and that's just a staple thing. It's like PBR or Budweiser or something. People just have what they're used to, and that's the thing where you are, and everybody's just accustomed to it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that people aren't doing something that's super similar or using slightly different vernacular for what it is. At the end of the day, we're not really reinventing much. Building's been happening for so long. We're just trying to come up with creative ways to do it and kind of do it economically for people. And that's really what's important, I guess, right?
Yeah. And, climate's part of it too. Like you were talking about, for instance, my neighbor's got a big water line leak right now in front of his house. It's running down my driveway, and they're going to be digging that up here soon. But I got to put it at 18 inches underground here because of our climate.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be doing that up in your area.
No, if you can see behind me here.
I see some white out there.
We got snow already, and it's sticking. It's not melting. But where I am, it's kind of funny because a short commute away, I drive like 8-9 minutes down the mountain, and there's no snow. So that's kind of the funny part about where we are. Not too much different from where you are in Portland, right? You drive up the mountain, snow, driving to Portland, you're in the Bay, and things are different.
Don't go anywhere. Around the House. We'll be right back with my favorite interviews of 2023.
Hey, this is Ron Keel, the Metal Cowboy from Keel, the Ron Keel Band and Steeler. We are rocking Around the House with Eric G.
Raise your fist!
Welcome to the Around the House show. This is where we talk everything about your house every single week. Thanks for joining us. We got a special guest in the studio today, Nick Schiffer. Welcome to Around the House, man.
What's up, man? I'm glad to be here. Appreciate
Happy to have you. I have seen you on the different NHB stages and everything else. You and I like kind of cross paths between friends and stuff, but never have really spent time together.
Yeah, I as I dug into like who you are and how like what you do in the industry, I'm like, how have we not met?
Right?
It's interesting, especially I feel like it's so, even when you go to the like IBS and things like that, I feel like I see the same people. And it's people that even live in Boston that I never see in Boston. But then I'll go to the 1 million square foot trade show and I'll bump into them 6 times.
How does that work, right?
Yeah, I don't know. So,
yeah, we have a lot of common friends. It's hilarious. Well, man, you have been doing so much good stuff out there with NS Builders. And I mean, you're just legendary in the Boston scene across the U.S. as well. But let's talk about you and your chops a little bit because
sure,
you do a lot of the stuff that I love. My background, kitchen designer for 30 years. So I did a lot of the interior modeling stuff, a lot of that kind of stuff that you've done on the remodeling side as well, that luxury home.
Yeah. I mean, for me, you know, especially when we started growing as a business and outside of just being a carpenter or a carpentry business, that's where I really kind of sat my role into kind of helping design. I'm not a designer. I'm not an architect. I don't have any licensing or training in it, but that's where I started really pushing the level of detail and how we executed particular things. And that's where, you know, a lot of my mind just kind of got encapsulated by how do we do this better? How do we make this detail better or cooler? And most of the time that works out for me. There's been a handful of times where I make something quote unquote cooler and it becomes wildly expensive and a nightmare to maintain. And my guys hate me for it. But the point is I like to challenge the normal way of doing something and constantly question, like, how do we do this better? What can we do to make this better?
Well, and you come from a part of the country where the craft is big, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked all over the country with different people like you have, you know, and there's just something about the old world craftsmanship of the Northeast, and it's cool.
It is. And I guess part of me is a little bit naive to that, where I just think it's normal. And then when I do travel to different parts of the country, people are like, yeah, you're so lucky, man. Like craftsmanship is like still a thing up there. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm walking a project here in California and this is pretty awesome. I'm like, yeah, man, but it's just different. It's, you know, it's not put together the same way with the same type of people. There's not that many of them, you know, in different parts of the country. And, you know, and I think about that when we talk about on the Modern Craftsman, it's, you know, we oftentimes talk about the Northeast and like our market. And even when we talk about money, it's really difficult to understand that, you know, a lot of what we talk about doesn't relate to the majority of the population.
It's tough.
Yeah. And I feel like we try to do a good job about, you know, calling that out and being true to the fact that we don't know, you know, the entire market across the US. But yeah, I mean, I do feel fortunate that we are in the Northeast and there's a lot of people that love craftsmanship. And I'm hoping that, you know, what we're doing with creating awareness on social and podcasts and things like that, that we're, you know, encouraging people to get into it. Because it, you know, I have a lot of thoughts on this, but it's not an easy career to be in. And it's not something that is, you know, there's this kind of, I don't know if we want to go down this path, but, you know, there's this kind of over glorification of, hey, you can be super wealthy in the trades. And I don't think that that's false, but I do think that there's too much focus on it in the sense that, you know, this isn't a career that you get into because you want to be uber wealthy. This is a career that you get into because you are passionate about it. And can you make a good living on it? Of course. Can you support your family? Of course. But it's hard work. No matter
There's
what.
There's way too much struggle here to be a get rich quick scheme. That's for sure.
And it's very hard work. It's very labor intensive. And there has to be that balance between, yes, I know I can be successful. I know I can make a good living and support my family, but at the expense of the fact that I truly love working with my hands and working with my body and doing laborious work. And I think that, you know, that there needs to be a bigger conversation around that, because I think a lot of, you know, some people get into particular trades or careers because they think it's the fastest way to wealth. And, that's not entirely true, especially in construction related fields.
Well, if you think about it, that's where that craft of craftsmanship comes in, right? It's
Right.
a craft, and you're always learning that craft. You walk on and do something different. You're learning. I'm learning. There's always a learning process to this. You're never done learning in this craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best parts. And that's what I love about it is, everything we do, like I said, I challenge it. And, we have material millwork now where, I get to dig into the details with Ken and Ian and James in the shop and talk about, how we make something cooler. Like we're building this pantry right now. It's a big slat wall and there was a pocket door detailed on it. I'm like, man, it would be really cool if when that door shut, it flushed out with the face of it. So when you step back, it didn't look like there's a door there.
Nice.
And sure enough, we sourced the hardware, tested it. It works. It looks dope. And it's, and was it necessary? No, but we accomplished something different that now when that end user experiences it, and I think that's a key word is like the experience, they have a different experience.
Yeah. And I want to go back and make sure that I'm not ripping on here all the crafts people that we have across the U.S. that I'm just saying, oh, you're in Southern California, you're not that. I want to make sure and not leave that hanging for all you guys out there. But there's just seems to be in your area up there, just more of an appreciation of that. And there are some great people all across the country.
Oh, 100%. It's just densely populated up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's very spread out there. And, I don't know. It's something I struggle with, just at trying to position myself as someone that wants to help the industry as a whole and be, incredibly aware of all these markets and what type of people are in these trades. And yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm not ripping on any part of the country or any market or anyone that's in different parts that truly does love the craft. It's just that it's, at least it's something that's communicated pretty often that the Northeast is densely packed with people that appreciate craft on both sides more than other areas.
It's funny. And I learned this a few years ago. I was up in Boston speaking for the NRLA up there for the Northeastern Retail Lumber Association up there. I was talking home tech to a bunch of lumber yards that weren't ready to talk home tech yet because they're very old school.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, but they weren't ready to consume that yet. So I've seen the other side of that too, where sometimes technology gets to be a little slower because that old world craftsmanship's the way to go.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. I think it's when you talk about tech, right? And I think about software and how things are developing so quickly. There's there's an enormous amount of people in the tech space for construction right now. And everyone is coming out with a new idea to do something faster. And I see a lot of it. A lot of them reach out to me. I have a friend of mine who's really in that space that constantly is getting my feedback on things. And I saw a product yesterday where it's, designed to help, commercial construction wall layout on big, concrete slabs. Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, love the idea. Watch the video. And it was like, first you do this and then this, and then you do that. And then all of a sudden it's like step 13. I'm like, dude, you lost me. Like this is just a different way of doing it. Like you were trying to change the way we do something rather than make it more efficient.
Yeah, if you're going to cut the steps by half, awesome. But if I got to go learn days of process to do the same thing.
And I think that's just like that with craftsmanship.
Around the House will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to the Around the House Show. This is where we help you get the most out of your home through information and education. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, we got a special guest in the studio because, there are so many people out there that are tackling larger projects. And of course, probably haven't done it before. And Corbin Clay really has this new program designed to help you out. Welcome to Around the House, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about you, man, and your background, because you come from a fun background. And before we get into what you're doing, I think we need to tell your story a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I out of high school, went to a motorcycle mechanic school.
Nice.
Coincidentally enough. And long story short, turns out I do not care why your turn signal doesn't work or or why that tire keeps going flat. Now, if you want to make it look better or go faster, let's chat. So turns out to do that, professionally at a manufacturer's level requires an engineering degree. So flash to or cut to 22-year-old Corbin, kind of a heart to heart with myself. Do I want to be, because I didn't go to college. So it's like, okay, do I want to be a 22-year-old freshman, entry level of my career at probably 28, 29, or I'd happened to have gotten a remodeling job to help pay for the community college I just enrolled in. Or do I want to maybe explore this woodworking thing? Because I really liked the kitchen and bath part of that specific remodeling job. So made the decision to go full steam ahead with it. 2 weeks later, I joined an apprenticeship at a cabinet shop, a pretty high-end cabinet shop in Clearwater, Florida.
Nice.
And then, we're off to the races. So I did a 2-year apprenticeship, then moved to Boulder, Colorado. And there I ran a cabinet shop for a while. They kind of morphed into a furniture shop. And then they had ultimately closed. Meanwhile, I was learning about the 4 million acres of dead pine trees that are in the Colorado Rocky Mountains from the result of a beetle infestation. I don't know if you guys have any of them. I know California certainly does. Do you guys have them?
Yeah, we still have them here too. They're just sitting out there ready to burn.
Exactly. So British Columbia has 40 million of these dead pine trees. So anyway, while I was working for this cabinet company, we would have customers often ask us, like, hey, why don't you guys do anything with this pine? All these dead pine trees just sitting there. Why don't you guys do anything with it? And honestly, I didn't have a good answer for them. I thought, well, surely it's too soft, or it's the infestation.
Got to be good reasons, right?
There has to be a reason why no one is doing anything about this. So I reached out to the U.S. Forest Service and the Forestry Department at Colorado State University. Turns out there was a big outbreak back in the 80s of the exact same beetle, the exact same problem. It comes from the winters not being as cold, so the beetles don't die off every year. Well, there was just this confluence it was kind of a perfect storm. You had warmer winters, then couple that with basically no age diversity in the forest. When we moved west in the Industrial Revolution, we basically cut down like every tree in the forest.
We did.
So then all of the trees are about the same age.
Sure.
So now all the trees are kind of old and more susceptible to an infestation. So that's why it just gone crazy, because the beetles are killing trees year round, and most of the trees in the forest are old and weak. So that's why I started my company, was to create as many good things as we can from that. Toothpicks, pencils, cabinetry, furniture, whatever anybody wants to buy that we can make. Let's see how much of a good situation we can get from a really bad situation. That company got much bigger than I ever planned on it getting. And I'm very much a product customer facing fellow. I'm not very interested in corporate operations and that type of stuff. But at scale, you need all these things. So in 2019, we decided, well, actually earlier, we decided to sell the company. But in 2019, we sold that business. I then got into custom spec building.
Okay.
Some for ourselves, others, to sell. So then I got this awesome education over the course of 3 years with green building design, performance building.
Nice.
Just really nerding out on building science and how to do things properly and closed cell, open cell, all that stuff.
There's a lot to that.
Oh, there's so much to it. And the thing is you move this one, and then 3 things over here move.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
you make
it's a
this
chess game.
Yeah, and we get asked a lot at Wayhome, for example. It's like, should I use spray foam? And it's like, well, we need to. Well, hold on now. Like, is your crawl space sealed? Because if your crawl space isn't sealed, putting spray foam on the roof probably isn't going to do that much.
No.
But now, if your entire house is fairly airtight, then yes, get that spray foam up there because that'll air seal as well. So there's so many variables. To your point, it's just like there are very few just one size fits all answers, and no matter what research you do, unless you have all the information, like that phrase, "You don't know what you don't know," is really, really applicable to home building and furniture and the trades and finishes.
Yep.
So
it's building science. So, this is something that's evolving. What you learned 10 years ago doesn't relate to today.
Right. Yeah. The notion that houses need to breathe, like we want leaky windows and leaky roofs because we're breathing in air from the crawl space, the vented crawl space, and then we're exhaling through. It's like, no, how about we don't do that? How about we not breathe in the filthy air from the crawl space, the unsealed vented crawl space? Like, why don't we put an ERV in or an HRV? Wouldn't that be better?
And I think one of the biggest problems in that whole space of high performance homes is that you have, I'm going to make a number up. You have 20 big companies out there that are making parts and pieces of the puzzle, but they don't work together to see how they can all work together. If you're taking on a project, and I've learned this with the projects I'm doing, where I got to call 5 companies, I know it's going to take me 10 times as long because I have to read through the fine print to see where the problems are just to get those 5 companies to play well together. And they mean to play well together, but the instructions don't overlap.
Right. So, yeah, it's, you take that, you take all the confusion, you take a lot of bad information, you take every builder in the country approaching it differently, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Basically no standardization in the industry. The code only goes so far. The code is effectively there for safety. It doesn't necessarily apply. The crown molding is not in the code. Cabinet door adjustment isn't in the code. Cabinet door finishes isn't in the code. You and
I could go install a kitchen that was 1 inch out of level, including the uppers, and they'd sign off on it, even though everything's going to be sliding around in those cabinets because it's out of level. It's not covered.
Just don't keep your marble collection in that cabinet, right?
Yeah. Round, put in the drawer.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, so there's that frustration coupled with throughout my entire career, in the trades, I would have friends and family often reach out and they would just have had a, bathroom remodeled or kitchen countertops put in or whatever. And they would just say, hey, can we FaceTime you real quick? Like, yeah, of course. What's up? And they go, well, here, look, we just got this, figured marble countertops. That was pretty veining and the seam is right there. Like, is that normal? And then it's, it's all chewed up and it's got, a gallon of putty in it. And I go, well, did you see a rendering, where they did the,
what was the layout, right?
Yeah, they took your exact slab and they mocked it up. Yeah, we saw it. Okay, is that what it looks like? No. Then you 100% have a case. That is not right. I'd find a picture online, like this is what a seam should look like done properly and, whatever, a quartz countertop or whatever. So like, here's what you need to say to get that person to come back. Hopefully we've withheld money. Yeah, we got 40% left. Great. That's your leverage. And I just kind of coach them up and give them a bunch of good, like visual assets, for lack of a better word, videos or photos, and then say, let me know how it goes. And it's just always bothered me. Like, what do people, the millions of people that have their countertops installed incorrectly or have someone botch their floors or go into a new build or a remodel just with this feeling of anxiety and apprehension because no one's really just looking out for them.
Thanks for tuning in to Around the House show today. If you want more information about us, head over to aroundthehouseonline.com. We'll be back next week with an all brand new episode. Happy holidays, and thanks for tuning in to Around the House. Enjoy the Christmas time.
Somewhere unseen and undiscovered, anywhere beyond the mean. Life is a love song, let's be lovers. We're all over the radio. Take my hand, I know where to go. All over the radio with you.
Hey, it's Eric G from Around the House. Are you planning a decking or siding project this year? If you are, you've got to check out my friends at Millboard. Millboard is a completely different kind of composite decking and cladding that enhances outdoor spaces with enduring distinction. Hand-molded from the finest oak, it realistically mimics the natural grain and color of premium hardwood. If you're looking for something that doesn't look like plastic and instead real wood, check out millboard.com. Make sure and check out that interview we did just a few weeks back. That's millboard.com.